Okay, we're back for take two. If you saw our first video, it was way too short. Say hi if you're out there. Wave to us doesn't do any good. You gotta type me a comment. Say you're out there. It's Mike and Denise. Okay, let's quickly recap what we said in the first video before we lost our picture. I don't know what happened. But we are making this video here about Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie. And we have a Facebook group, which is the same title of this video. Go ahead and join it if you're not in there already, if you're at all interested in this, because this is intertwined in between, I think, plant-based stuff and the digital nomad lifestyle and what they're doing and what we're doing. And Denise, by the way, is not look super excited today because she's on a water fast, which also kind of ties into this. I don't think they're water fasting, but
I haven't eaten in 6 days.
yeah, she hasn't eaten in 6 days. So I don't think Gabby and Brian are water fasting, but who knows? Maybe they are. I don't know.
I doubt it.
But let's say that they are. Why is this intertwined? Let's first of all get into that. Well, first of all, I'm a lifestyle nutritionist. We do plant-based stuff. I also have this digitalnomad.net YouTube channel. We went cross country this past winter, lived out of our vehicle, kind of like they're doing. Gabby and Brian have been doing that for a few months. We did that for a few months, so we know how that goes. Now, in the video, we watched the police video, which is pinned to the top of our group. Remember, it is Gabby Petito and the and symbol, amper, whatever, ampersand, right? You call that. Brian Laundrie, it's spelled differently, so check that out on here. Missing what happened. That's the name of our group. So we're trying to discuss what's going on, but that's pinned to the top. If you haven't seen it, it's like an hour and 20 minutes. Denise and I watched it last night. I'd watched it before, and we have some insight, we think, from this video, right?
A little.
Yeah, and we're gonna, maybe give you guys some of our own inside information on what we think, because there's been stuff all over the place, from Brian is an axe murderer, right, to Gabby's, obviously the police thought Gabby's the aggressor if you watch the video, to anything in between. And Gabby's a nutritionist. Gabby worked at a juice bar before she quit. They've been trying to earn money, I guess, while in the van, working remotely. And all this kind of plays into what we think is going on. And Denise has a lot of insight too, I think. I will give my insight second. I'm going to let Denise kind of talk what she thinks, not only before watching the video yesterday, but since she's been water fasting, we had nothing to do. We just kind of watched it last night. What did you think after watching that video? Like, what do you think happened? What do you think is going on here? That's what we want to know.
Well, you could tell that Gabby had a lot of anxiety, and I know her friends and family said she's not usually that way, but when you quit your job and you have no income, and I assume Brian didn't have an income either, that can really put a strain on the relationship. And I know she said she spent 7 hours on the computer that day trying to get her blog together, but maybe she was just spending a little too much time on it, doing too many videos and edits with it. A blog shouldn't be that extreme.
Although they're actually editing, they're doing like professional. I saw on their channel, actually, some of these links are on our group, Facebook group, if you go join it. I saw the one video which it got taken down, I think. It ramped up to like 300,000 views for one video, which was amazing. For our own YouTube efforts, that's an amazing effort. But that's after they got national and worldwide attention like they have right now.
Yeah.
And they're actually producing videos. They have music in them. They have all these effects and stuff. Mine are just kind of like stream of consciousness, and they're very low tech, like reality type videos, right? That's what we do. So I don't understand what it takes to produce a video, but like that. But I'm sure that it's a lot more work than what I've been doing.
Yeah. So the point is, I hope that Gabby didn't tell Brian that they could just live off of the income from her blog starting on day one, because it takes a long time to build up a fan base.
Yeah.
I hope they didn't see our videos and get inspired and see me working from
Hey,
the
look,
back seat.
they were in the Tesla. Yeah. But that's the thing. Denise was okay. We didn't give up our employment, and when Denise and I were thinking about it, we were like, well, Gabby and Brian were basically unemployed and homeless. That's a tremendous amount of stress. Okay, even if sometimes some people that I know they'll say, "Hey, Mike, are you homeless? Denise, do you work? Where do you get your money from?" We've heard it so many times, as if we're unemployed and homeless, which couldn't be further from the truth. we might choose to live a certain lifestyle, but we still are fully employed and we have at least one house to live in, usually more than that.
Yeah, I've been working in IT for 22 years. I'm not just in the backseat writing a blog.
Yeah, so that's a tremendous amount of stress. I remember when I was back in my 20s, trying to support a family. Actually, I started out with family of 3 right away, and my wife was in school or at home with my daughter. She wasn't even working. It was a lot of stress, and I wasn't living out of a van, attempting to make something out of nothing. So people have not even brought this point up. And if you compare it to what we did in the wintertime, I was in my off season for my main income, although I have plenty of income that from rental properties. I'm in real estate. I have rental properties are almost like an annuity kind of. It's that kind of income. It's passive, more passive income. They don't, as far as I know, they don't have any of that. As far as I know, there's a lot of stress because they're probably borrowing money from their parents. I know they save some money, but they're probably having to beg for money if they're going to campsites. We weren't even going to campsites. We were just stopping anywhere, right? And we weren't even paying. And you were still pulling your salary because you could work remote. And we had a very strong internet. I have an old plan. I'm an old school guy that had like the non-throttled plan, right? It doesn't slow you down. It doesn't limit your data. Most people can't even get it available on a Verizon network anyway nowadays, like I have. So
Yeah. When we run out of water, we just go buy a case of water. And Gabby and Brian were going to a national park to try to obtain some water. They probably heard there was a spring there or something.
yeah, they might be down to their last pennies, literally, and this has not been talked about. This creates a tremendous amount of stress in a relationship. And obviously, there's no question about it. I think that Gabby, everyone in the video with the police, you got to watch that video. It's pinned at the top of our group. Remember, the same name as this video is the name of our Facebook group. And the police and everybody says that she has anxiety issues. I'm not going to diagnose this, but I'm just telling you, these folks were saying it, right? Do you think that that's true?
Probably, but I'm sure they were exasperated by the fact that they were stressed out about how they were going to make it out to where were they going? Washington State.
Oregon eventually to do wolfing, yeah, on an organic farm.
Yeah, they were probably stressed out about how they were going to make it there with that van.
Yeah, and I also want to mention too that a lot of people who are into this stuff like we are doing like alternative lifestyles too. That's the other thing. So we can kind of relate to this. We've been doing things, and Denise has been very, very accommodating because you do like a traditional job, right? And I've never had a traditional job, so this is not that big of a deal for me. But for someone with a traditional job, it's a big deal to do a different lifestyle. And you know, a lot of times people are doing different lifestyles. Sometimes it might be because they don't have any money, but usually they're doing it because they want to. They have a strong passion to live like this, and it's great until you realize you're having trouble making money and you don't have any money. Then it becomes a problem. But like I don't know if we mentioned it earlier in this video. It might have been take one. We're not sure if they're vegan or plant based, but it's highly. You can kind of infer that from watching the police video. I think.
Yeah,
what do you think about that?
They were shopping at a specifically vegan market. It sounds like.
Yeah, in Utah, outside of the Twin Arches National Park, it was. What was it? I can't remember the name offhand. Not Moon Shadow, not Moonshine. Moon something organic market. That's where the incident happened. Actually, the police were called, and that's why the police were following them. And that's well, you can watch the whole police video and make up your mind there. But there was also another dynamic we can relate to, is the fact that I was driving all winter long, right? And you were working in the back seat, and you were really working. I mean, you were working all the time. You were connected. I think a lot of times people couldn't believe that you were actually in the car so that they could hear some road noise. But like with Gabby, she wasn't. Another part of this dynamic that wasn't talked about is I think she was the one that was being depended. They were both depending on her for income. They were depending on him to drive the car, and they're depending on her for income. So like in our state, I'm already bringing in income whether I'm driving or not. You are continuing to bring in your salary, which is at a pretty good rate, and I'm still able to drive the car. So there's a tremendous less amount of stress on us. But for them, if she wasn't producing videos and getting them out, like production, boom, 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 get this all out. Like, digital nomad lifestyle, you're driving, just get the stuff out. While I'm driving the car, you make the videos. We bring in the money, and I'm sure it wasn't happening. And this kind of leads into my theory as to what I think might be going on here. It might be a publicity stunt. And I don't know. These are all just theories. Let me know your comments below. Comment below. Let us know.
Yeah, she could get a lot of followers after this.
Yeah, and she did. I mean, that one video had like 300,000 views before. I think the YouTube channel might have been shut down. It might even be more than that if it hasn't been shut down yet. But that's crazy. I have almost no videos that are like that.
Yeah.
So this could be a publicity stunt. It really, really could. And I know that folks were saying that it was related to this lesbian couple that was murdered, who actually worked as a cashier at the same,
Organic market.
yeah, same organic market in Utah there in Moab. But apparently, the police are saying now that that is unrelated. I don't know how they know that, but if they're sure about that, then they're sure about that. There's been a lot of pressure on Brian here. I know a lot of pressure on him. If you look at the different groups, and that's one of the reasons why we created another group of our own, because it kind of balance this thing out. Not to say we know what's going on. We don't know what's going on. We want to find out what's going on. We feel like we have some insight here. But with Brian, right away, even I thought from seeing what's online that he just went out and killed her and killed these lesbian couple, and this guy's just crazy. And I think you were thinking that too until we had the time yesterday to sit down and watch the police video. And did your mind change after you watched that?
Yeah, he doesn't seem like a violent individual at all. I mean, he said he loved Gabby, and when she was hitting at him, telling him to stop, telling her to calm down, he could have hit her back or pushed her away, but he didn't. There were no marks or bruises on her. And I don't think he's a mean person at all. It was kind of mean that he locked her out of the van, and he could have done that again, which could explain why she came up missing. And being that she was so gorgeous, if she tried walking alone in the desert, she could have easily been abducted. I used to think I was safe all the time too, but I got groped here in a highly populated area walking alone at night. Somebody came along and groped me.
And unfortunately, it's always men that are doing that. I don't know why, but that's just what it is.
So get some pepper spray if you do that. It works on men and dogs.
Okay, and then also people were saying that Brian was they were all basically assuming that Brian was the aggressor, and the police determined that Gabby was the aggressor. If you watch that complete video, watch the whole thing. Don't just take my word for it.
She was technically during that incident.
Yeah, and that Brian was the one who had all these issues. Even some people are saying after they're watching the entire video that Brian is demonstrating issues of overly controlling behavior with Gabby. I can kind of see where that might be the case, but my overall impression after watching that video is no. I don't think Brian's a saint. I think, like you said, Denise, he probably did lock her out of the car. That's probably his technique: lock her out of the car. Okay, but if that's all he's doing, Gabby's doing things too. Obviously, she's got her nails dug into him, and she's hitting him. I think it was said in that video. So I mean, it's not like they're both at fault here, if you ask me. And it could have gotten a lot worse. And even as the police say, a lot of times men get the raw end of the deal. They didn't say that actually, but usually if there's violence, that the man either gets in trouble or the woman should be let off because she's a woman. And apparently the laws don't read that way. The laws are equal both ways, at least in Utah anyway. I don't know how they are in other places. So what other? There's some other points there. I'm trying to think of some other things that we talked about. Was what Brian was accused of doing, what Gabby was. Yeah, it's. Well, any other thoughts? There's so much to think about here. I'm going to try to regain my thoughts here while we're talking. But you seem to think that Brian, I think your takeaway, my watching your reaction of you watching the video of the police yesterday was that you seem to think that Brian is just doesn't have it in him to do this kind of stuff that people are accusing him of.
No, he's not mean. He does talk too much. He's really jumpy, kind of like an Energizer bunny. He interrupts a lot, and yeah, it kind of reminds me of you sometimes. Mike interrupts me all the time, and so if Gabby's all stressed out and already anxious, and he keeps cutting her off and repeating, like, calm down, calm down. That doesn't help. If she has something to say, he should let her say it. But he wasn't letting the police finish their sentences either, and that can drive someone really batty. So maybe they weren't the ideal couple.
And I think word has come out too that they called off their engagement. They were engaged, but friends have. This is all rumor. All of this is rumor, for that matter. Well, we just want to find them. We're doing this because we want, people who might know where they are to find them, and give them both an equal chance here at getting back to everyone, because obviously there's a bad situation there, and I'm also giving them the benefit of the doubt that something is bad here and they need some help. But like I said, I'm also, just as much of me is thinking that this is a publicity stunt. That this is something that they are doing in order to gain more followers on social media, because literally the entire world is watching them right now. And like I said, we're not talking about plant-based or vegan, but we're seeing a lot of, they're obviously in this community. So we want to see them work this out correctly somehow. And if there's anybody that can help, anybody that knows them, my throat's from talking. So yeah, let me let Denise talk for a while.
Yeah, if you know anything or can think of anything, comment below and try to help. I'd like to see them resolve this peacefully, and hopefully no one got hurt.
Yeah, let's try not to. You can say your opinion, but try not to just determine your judgment here on something that we really don't know. Sorry, that was so. My throat was so dry from talking. We really don't know what's going on. But like I said, Denise and I can sympathize because we've kind of walked in their shoes and done these kind of things. We've both been young. Actually, we had kids very young. We had kids when we were 19 and 20, right? And they're 22 and 23. But they're still, when you don't have a job and you're trying to launch something new, there's a tremendous amount of stress there. And we don't know the situation. It sounds like the parents were giving them money. Gosh, I mean, there's just so many factors here. I just hope it's not a publicity stunt, because we're actually enabling that right now, if that's what it is. But definitely join the group if you have any interest in this. It's Gabby, Petito, and Brian Laundrie missing. What happened? That's the name of the group. So that's all I've got for now, I guess.
That's all I've got. Interested in hearing your comments.
Yeah, definitely comment below. Let us know your thoughts. And if you have any leads too, obviously pass that along and share this with anybody that might know any information. And of course, the other reason why we're doing this is because they're from Florida. At least that's their residences, I think, in their licenses. And from Northport, and we're in Southwest Florida. I got the Southwest Florida Veg Fest shirt on. That's where we do most of our events, is in Southwest Florida. So we actually don't know if, I would love to see this work out in a great way, right? We were talking about this earlier, and maybe have them start participating in our events, right?
That'd be cool.
They're obviously very passionate. I think to be able to go off and do this, to kind of drop everything, this must be like a dream that they had, I'm guessing. It's turned into a nightmare, unfortunately, right? We don't want to see that, but we'd like to, anything can be spun around and used for good, I think. I'm just such an optimist. Yeah, overly optimistic, I guess, sometimes. But I can still imagine that. And maybe somehow we can all use this for good. If they come back to Florida, I don't even know how this would work out. I just don't know. I'm just throwing it out there.
Yeah. Well, they can go to our website, aPlantBasedDiet.org, and sign up as volunteers.
Yeah, or presenters. How about that? When you want to see them, I want to talking about. Because this is the kind of stuff we talk about. Alternative stuff, better, different ways of life. But this is not a good way. Actually, one of the things I did hear them mention too in the police video was that they don't drink alcohol. Did you hear that?
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, someone who's 22 and 23, they don't drink alcohol. Like I said, they're obviously very passionate about this. I couldn't even say at that time that was me. Okay, that was not me at that time. So they're obviously forward thinkers, and part of being way ahead of your time sometimes is you're misunderstood, and maybe that's part of what's going on here. I don't know. What do you think? Could that possibly be? I don't know.
No, a lot of people don't drink in this day and age.
Really?
They're aware that alcohol is a class 1 carcinogen and you should avoid it, and no amount is safe.
Group 1, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, more ideas, I guess. And I hear the car engine, which is probably internal combustion engine driven by a man, and my throat's acting up again. So, we'll end it up. We'll stop the broadcast with that. Thanks so much for watching.
Thanks. Bye.
Bye.